My fiancé's family didn't invite me to Easter brunch, so I went on a trip by myself. Now they're begging me to come back, pretending it was all a big mistake. Let me start by saying, I never thought not getting invited to a family event would turn into something like this. But here we are. I'm Nathan, 27M, and I've been with my fiancée, Charlotte, 26F, for 3 years. Things have been good, mostly. You know how family stuff can be tricky. Charlotte's family, they're a lot to handle. Her mom, Janet, is very controlling but hides it with fake kindness. Her dad, George, just agrees with whatever Janet says, even when it's silly. Then there's her brother, Ethan, 24M, the perfect one who can do no wrong. I never really got along with them, but Charlotte and I kept going to family events, so I thought things were fine. Then came Easter Sunday, to be exact. I usually like their Easter brunch, even though it was always the same, big meal, awkward conversations, way too many desserts, but this year, something felt strange right away. A few days before Easter, I was at Charlotte's place when she mentioned her mom was planning a big brunch. I asked if I was invited, assuming I was. I had gone to every holiday event for the past 2 years and thought I'd built a good relationship with them. I always helped out, cooking, cleaning, even pretending to like her mom's weird love for old fancy dishes. Charlotte gave me a weird look when I asked. She paused for a second and then said, "Oh yeah, I think Mom said you were invited. I'll double check. No big deal, right?" I thought maybe they were just figuring out how many people were coming, but then days passed and Charlotte didn't say anything more about it. On Easter morning, Charlotte went to her parents' house to help set up. Still no word about my invite. Around noon, I called her just to check. She sounded happy, telling me how great the brunch was going. Then she added, almost like an afterthought, "Oh, by the way, my parents decided to keep it just family this year." My heart sank, and I got that familiar feeling of frustration. "So you're telling me they didn't invite me?" I asked, trying not to sound angry. Charlotte hesitated. "I think it just sort of happened. They wanted it to be smaller this year," she said, like she was trying to make excuses. That was it for me. I felt totally pushed out, not even a little bit of respect, and Charlotte acted like it wasn't a big deal. At first, I thought maybe I was overreacting, maybe I should just let it go, but then a few hours later, I saw Charlotte's Instagram post, her whole family smiling around the table, and there I was, sitting alone at my place. No mention of me, no apology, just their perfect day. That's when I decided, if they didn't want me around, I wasn't going to sit there feeling sorry for myself. I packed a bag, booked a last-minute flight, and went on a solo trip. I didn't even care where, just anywhere but here. The trip was exactly what I needed. I spent days hiking, visiting small towns, and just enjoying time by myself. It was a huge relief, no drama, no faking smiles. Meanwhile, Charlotte started texting me, asking if I was okay. I ignored her. She even called once, but I let it go to voicemail. I was done, for now. Anyway, I knew I'd have to deal with it when I got back. When I returned, Charlotte was waiting at my place. She looked worried and guilty. She apologized right away, but not for the real problem. "Nathan," she said, "I'm sorry about Easter, but I really didn't know you weren't invited. It wasn't on purpose." But I wasn't buying it. This wasn't the first time her family had treated me like an outsider, and I wasn't sure how much longer I could put up with it. Right then, my phone buzzed, a text from Janet. "Sorry for the misunderstanding. We'd love to have you over next weekend. Let's move past this, okay?" I felt a wave of anger. A misunderstanding? They knew exactly what they were doing. I wasn't some extra they could just ignore when it suited them. I didn't respond right away. I set my phone down and looked at Charlotte. "Charlotte, seriously, are you really going to let them treat me like this?" She opened her mouth like she wanted to say something but didn't know how. Then my phone buzzed again. This time it was George. "I don't understand why you couldn't just come back to brunch. It's all been a misunderstanding. Please come over, let's talk." It sounded like a request but felt more like an order, and that was it for me. I stared at George's text, feeling all the old frustration. He was doing what he always did, acting fake nice while trying to control everything. I could almost hear the smugness in his message. Charlotte stood across the room, waiting, hoping I'd say something. I used to just let things go, always being the one who tried to keep the peace, but not anymore. I put my phone down on the coffee table a little harder than I meant to. The loud sound echoed in the quiet room. "Seriously?" I said, my voice low but sharp, cutting through the air. Charlotte shifted nervously, fiddling with the hem of her shirt. She hated arguments, but she hated upsetting her family even more. Nathan, please, they didn't mean it, they're just. No, I cut her off, shaking my head. You've been saying that for 3 years. Every time they leave me out or make me feel like I don't belong, you say, they didn't mean it. You say it's just a misunderstanding. Her face tightened and she crossed her arms, looking defensive. It's not like that, Nathan, they're just not used to you being a permanent part of the family. I stood up, anger boiling inside me. Not used to me? We've been together for 3 years. I've done everything they've asked, sat through endless boring conversations, listened to your mom's terrible advice, and smiled through bland food, all just to be polite. And this is what I get? They decide I'm not good enough to join Easter brunch and I should be fine with it? Charlotte flinched but stayed quiet. I paced around the room, running my hand through my hair. You know what's worse? It's not just that they left me out, it's that they think they can do it, then act like it never happened. And you let them treat me like this, and now they think it's just a misunderstanding. Are they that clueless, or are you? Her face went pale. I could see the hurt, but part of me didn't care anymore. If she wouldn't defend me, I had to defend myself. Her eyes flicked to my phone, then back to me. I don't want to fight, Nathan, let's just talk to them, maybe we can fix this. But it wasn't enough, not this time. I could feel my blood boiling. I'd been patient, I showed up, I smiled, I put up with all the small insults, but now it was like all that patience had been stomped on. I had tried to be understanding, I really had, but this was too much. I'm done, Charlotte, I said quietly but firmly. I'm done being treated like an afterthought. I'm done waiting for invitations. You know what I'm going to do? She shook her head, looking scared, but I kept going. I'm not going back. I'm not pretending everything's okay. They can beg all they want, I'm not the one who should apologize. Charlotte didn't say anything for a moment. Her lips trembled like she wanted to speak, but no words came out. She was realizing that this time, she couldn't fix it. Before she could say anything, my phone buzzed again. Another text from Janet. Look, Nathan, I don't know what's gotten into you, but Easter isn't worth ruining our relationship. Please come next weekend. We're family, you're part of that, whether you like it or not. I almost laughed. Part of the family? Then why was I always left out? They made it sound like I was the one making a big deal out of nothing. And that's when I finally saw it clearly. This wasn't new. They had been testing me for years, pushing little by little to see how much I'd tolerate. And Charlotte was stuck between us. She didn't know anymore which side was right, her family's version of love, or the one we were trying to build. I stared at the message, my thumb hovering over the reply button. I could take the easy way out, say sure, I'll come, and act like nothing had happened. But the idea of stepping into their house and pretending made me feel sick. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I hit block. Janet, blocked. George, blocked. Charlotte's eyes widened, tears forming as she realized what I was doing. Nathan, what are you doing? This is my decision, I said, my voice firm. I'm not going to be treated like this anymore. I'm not going to sit by while they mess with me. If you won't stand up for me, then I'll do it myself. I expected her to argue, to beg me to change my mind. But she just stared at me, shocked, like she didn't recognize the person standing in front of her. I thought you would understand, she whispered. Those words hit harder than I expected. In her mind, I was supposed to just understand. Understand how her family acts. Understand that they would always come first. Understand that no matter how much they hurt me, it was never really their fault. That was the real problem. And now, the real question was, could I stay with someone who was okay with that? I stood there, feeling the weight of her words, making everything around us feel colder. Charlotte's face softened, and she looked like she was losing something important. But inside, my anger was changing. It wasn't just hurt anymore, it was something stronger, a cold kind of certainty. They hadn't just left me out. They treated me like I didn't matter, and now they were trying to pull me back, only on their terms, so they could pretend nothing happened. I couldn't let that happen. I took a deep breath and stepped away from Charlotte, pulling my phone out of my pocket. She watched me closely, like she already knew what I was about to do. I opened Janet's contact. Her name stared back at me from the screen. My thumb hovered for a moment over the call button, but I wasn't going to let her twist the story to make me the bad guy. Instead, I opened the message thread. The message from Janet flashed on my screen. We're family, Nathan, you're part of that whether you like it or not. It was condescending, and it made my blood boil all over again, but I had to control myself. This wasn't about yelling, it was about making them regret ever treating me like this. I typed carefully, not letting emotion cloud my judgment. This had to be perfect. You're right, Janet, I am part of the family, and I deserve better than being treated like an afterthought. So here's my decision, I won't be coming to your house next weekend. In fact, I don't think I'll be coming around at all. If you can't respect me as an equal, I'm done pretending. Consider this the last time I make an effort. I reread it, my thumb hovering over the send button. I almost felt bad for her, but not enough to stop. She deserved it. I hit send, watching the text disappear into the void. Next, I moved on to George. Same story. I opened his contact and saw his message at the top. I don't understand why you couldn't come back to brunch. I started typing again, making sure every word was measured. I don't know what your idea of family is, George, but it's clear I'm not part of it unless it's convenient for you. I'm not a backup plan. I've given enough of myself, and it's obvious you don't care, so I'm done. No more family gatherings, and no more letting you manipulate me into thinking I'm the problem. Send. I felt a rush of satisfaction, but it wasn't enough. Not yet. Not while Charlotte was still stuck in the middle of this. I had to make her see how deeply this had twisted her view of right and wrong. Charlotte hadn't moved since I sent the texts. She was still standing by the window, staring out, her back to me. I took a deep breath and stepped forward. Charlotte, I said, my voice softer but still serious. She didn't turn around. I'm not going to keep fighting for a family that doesn't respect me, but I'm going to make sure they understand what happens when they treat me this way. Her shoulders stiffened, and I heard her take a shaky breath. What are you talking about, Nathan? I'm going to expose everything, I said, my voice gaining strength. I'm not letting them act like nothing happened. They're going to see what happens when they push someone too far, and they'll regret it. Charlotte turned, her face pale but serious. What do you mean, expose? Please don't do anything crazy. This is family. It's not worth ruining everything over. You don't get it, I said, shaking my head. They've already ruined it. They've been taking advantage of us for years, and now I'm making sure they know there are consequences. She swallowed hard, her voice trembling. I don't want to lose you over this, Nathan. You won't, I said firmly, locking eyes with her, but they'll lose me, and they'll lose you too if you don't stand up to them. She hesitated, thinking it over, her mind racing. Finally, she spoke. What exactly do you plan to do? I smiled, but it wasn't happy. Everything I can, and I'm starting with the social media posts. Her eyes widened, shocked. I pulled out my phone again and opened my social media. It was time to make a statement, time for them to know I wasn't just going to fade into the background. First, I posted the texts from Janet and George, where they tried to downplay everything. I added a caption. Here's a little peek into how my girlfriend's family has treated me. Time to show you how they really feel. Next, I posted a photo from the last family gathering I'd attended. It was of me sitting at the edge of the table, barely eating, with everyone else laughing and talking, ignoring me. I could hear their voices in my head. You're part of the family, Nathan. We're so glad you could make it. But I had always known, they didn't mean it. The caption was sharper. This is how they make me feel every time I try to be part of their world. I'm done trying to make them care. As I hit post, I felt a strange sense of relief. It wasn't over, but it was a release. The burden of pretending I was okay with their treatment was finally lifted. Charlotte had been watching me the whole time. She didn't say a word, just stood there, silent, eyes wide. I'm sorry, she said finally, her voice small, but I can't stop you. I guess I've been blind, haven't I? I didn't answer right away. Instead, I just watched her. She looked different, smaller, as if she was seeing me for the first time. Maybe this was the wake-up call she needed, maybe not. It's not just about you, Charlotte, I said softly. It's about me. It's about standing up for myself. I'm not going to let them walk all over me anymore. She nodded slowly, still tearful, but I could tell she was processing it. She was finally seeing the truth. We didn't speak after that. The room felt heavy with everything that had been unsaid for so long. I felt drained, but it was a good exhaustion, the kind that comes after finally speaking the truth. What I had done was risky. Exposing Janet and George was going to stir up a storm, and I wasn't sure how Charlotte would react either. But I couldn't live in the silence anymore. I had to do this, for me. I had to stand up for myself, even if it meant losing everything else.